Hello everybody, Zon-Getsu134 here.
I'm Beverage Joe Squad.
And guest star Avat Loam.
And welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen, the show where we look at comic books, movies, and everything in between. We finally got Lee back after like 2 seasons.
It's been a year and a half?
Yeah, give or take.
It was Halloween.
We haven't had Cody on since the special.
Yeah, before COVID hit. Ugh.
So, we've
Life
actually
like
been
before
wanting to have
COVID.
you on a lot earlier, because we also had the wanted you on the anniversary episode.
But
That
Work.
scheduling never
Yeah.
worked, and then we've been filming this shit on the seat of our pants so
Yeah.
long at this point that
Because, like, we
we don't even know when we film. We're just
Yeah.
like, you want to film tonight? Okay.
Thankfully,
cool.
we're like a month ahead right now, at least as of recording this.
yeah, these boys are just like, hey, you free tonight? I'm like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Despite Google Maps being stupid.
Well,
out
it helps
there.
that I came off of my vacation, so I have like 4 days off because I took PTO for part of it.
Yeah, and I had to change jobs, so now I have 4 days off anyway.
Yeah, but hopefully
Must
we
be
can
nice.
get you
I'm
in for
coming
the
off
second year
working 6
anniversary.
days straight, including all Easter weekend.
It's okay. It's okay.
But
Still hear the screams, isn't it? The kids screaming in the frozen aisle.
anyway, we're finally making up for Lee not being able to be here. So
Because we're doing stuff almost as old as I am.
Yes.
we're also doing it in Lee's house. This is like I think the 7th or 8th different studio we've had now, because we've been shooting in my dad's shed. We shoot at your place when we can.
Your car,
My car.
my car.
Your car. The pond. But yeah.
Next
so-
thing we're gonna get an actual ABC TV studio. Just rent it.
Yeah, so don't mind the decor. It's my dad's insistence.
At least we have an actual couch.
I know, that's very comfy, isn't it?
Half the time we usually have like old swivel chairs and a lawn chair.
Got my gaming chair. Riley's sitting on a footstool. You're sitting in that Ottoman chair I have.
Yeah, or the floor, which your floor is the boniest floor.
'Cause you're
Or do
sitting.
you just have the boniest ass?
That too.
I mean, to be fair, it's literally he's sitting on planking above chipboard.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's why I'm always like, you want a pillow?
Even then, pillows don't only do so much. But anyway, the subject
Anyway.
for tonight. Too bad it said subject for tonight.
We're doing a
Changing subject.
kind of doing a continuation on our dead formats thing, just because we kind of had some more stuff to talk about. We picked up some more dead format stuff.
Yeah.
This could be kind of just a revolving entries, just
Yeah.
talking about
Oh.
dead format stuff we find.
If you won't mind, I think I might start off.
Yeah, go right ahead, because you found this
So-
before I did.
This is only part of it, but basically I found these at this secondhand store. This is the first season of Highlander, the TV show. For those of
Duncan
you,
MacLeod.
yeah, with Duncan MacLeod. This show is technically in canon with the movies. Technically not, because like this came out around the time Highlander 3 had been a thing. But it doesn't really state anything about Highlander. Like for one,
So it's the MCU Marvel movies that were on
Yeah.
that were on Daredevil, like the TV shows that they don't talk about them.
one of these days I need to just I want to sit you down and I want to try and explain to you the Highlander timeline, because
This will be like that episode of let me tell weird history stuff to Adam.
well, to make a long story short, Connor MacLeod wins the prize twice in the Highlander franchise. He becomes the only one and gets the prize. Actually, no, he gets the prize 3 times. And then the TV show, once again, it's time for the prize. And instead of there being only a limited amount of immortals, the TV show makes it that there's pretty much anyone can be an immortal. You just have to die first and get reborn as an immortal.
So that's where Homestuck got it.
Probably. Well, I mean, to be fair, there can be only one cutting the head off thing is pretty much from the show. Then this makes quickenings really weird, because there's good quickenings and dark quickenings where you can turn evil by killing enough evil people.
Wasn't one Sean Connery appearance in this. I felt fucking cheated.
That was never going to happen, because they barely got him for Highlander 2.
Felt
And he's
fucking
like,
cheated.
He's like, this movie's a piece of shit. I'm never going to be in this franchise again.
Just like I'm
Isn't
never
that
going.
his mood about anything?
I'm never going to be James Bond again, except I'm going to do a movie called Never Say Never Again, where I'm going to be Bond again.
Yeah, that
And then I'm done. Except
then
then I'm
it-
going to do a
then-
video game in 2003.
then League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was so bad he retired. But
Just...
anyway, what I wanted to talk about was more because, like, you don't really see box sets like this anymore. Yeah, you have like DVD sets, but even
Yeah,
then, like, thanks to
I-
Blu-ray, DVD sets are not a thing.
I've
because-
seen, because I collect VHS. I mean, I'm the proud parent of a VHS collection. Like
Pull
I,
the lid and see if I can.
I can only think of a couple shows where I've seen VHS
There you go.
box
You can
sets.
put the box. Box back. Thank you. But basically, because like with DVDs, like they were box sets because like just hold on. Okay. They were box sets because like, you know, like, yeah. This clearly shows to me that this was like a mail-in order thing, either from like a magazine or like a TV special. But like, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to have Dragon Ball Z box sets, and they also did like a picture thing. But like this here is like, you know, it's got a picture of Adrian Brody, or Adrian Paul rather, and like it's got Highlander, it's got the classic katana, for the McLeod katana, which technically was Ramirez katana originally. That thing in itself is just weird, but basically, you know, like these sort of box sets you don't really see a lot of anymore, like because they're so huge because you have to put all the videos in this.
Like I was,
because you have one of the, or no, I'm thinking of someone else, but like
I
the
have
Star
the-
Trek one has.
I have
like,
the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. That's probably what you're thinking of.
I was thinking of like AVGN where they showed off the Star Trek box sets they have.
Yeah, and like I was, I've only seen a couple shows that have sets like this. I know Xena had a couple, Buffy had a couple. I think in the U.S. I know in the UK they definitely did. X-Files did.
Yeah.
The infamous 2 VHS Titanic, which my brother
my God.
had.
Which I still have a sealed copy of that. But
Of course you do.
Band of Brothers actually had a tape set.
They
Yeah.
did.
Band of Brothers had a tape
Yeah.
set.
My
It
aunt
was right at
actually
the end
worked
of it.
on those. She did body parts for that series. She's a makeup artist for Hollywood, and she actually sent us a list of, yeah, in this scene, in this flying body part, I did that.
Yeah,
Hi, Megan. By the way,
I put the disembodied corpse right here.
that's exactly what she did. She just gave us this whole list. She's done a whole bunch of movies like that. So
But yeah, it's always weird because I can kind of see why they didn't really ever do them because it's just so impractical and bulky.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when you get them like this, you know, they're really really cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have 2 Xena tapes that I think are from a set like this, but I don't know where they are. And then, like I said, I've seen a couple other ones. I had some X-Files tapes at one point. I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows like they were already thinking like we can put the shows on home media and get them out there, but then they kind of ran into the idea I think was like maybe a little too more advanced than where the tech was.
Yeah.
But the ones they did like this, these are really really cool. I mean, like you can kind of see
Yeah.
like I
That's
can
why I
see
had to
somebody
get
putting
these.
these on like in the living room as like a centerpiece.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
like I had to get these because like for one they were $10 for each set because I have set 1 and set 4. They unfortunately didn't have set 2 or set 3.
naturally,
One of these days, if that Xena set ever pops up, I'm fucking buying
But,
it.
like,
I know
I-
that for a fact.
I'm also happy because I almost wonder like because I know this is hard to get on DVD because Queen did the entire soundtrack for the movie.
And it's
they
actually in
paid,
this.
Yeah, they paid the rights to get like Princes of the Universe, which is like the main theme of the first Highlander film. And they got for every episode of this TV show.
I'm
The
sure.
only thing they didn't get it for was the awful sci-fi movie that's the finale of the series, Highlander Endgame. Don't ever watch Highlander Endgame. It's crap. Like,
Yeah, and like a lot of people think like, well, they would never release a TV show with without music or something
yeah,
like.
no.
Which I always raise the example of. Dawson's Creek on DVD is so chopped to fucking bits. Like I was telling him, if you watch it on Netflix now, you know it has that iconic theme of "I don't want to wait." That's not even on Netflix anymore. It's a different song altogether because they refuse to pay the licensing rights for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shit. I don't even know. Like I've watched the whole thing on Netflix. I don't even know if I've watched a complete version of it.
Like, I
I
know,
think
like...
there was stuff that was in there that was chopped out.
It was like, I know for... Another thing. With Darkwing Duck, it had a pilot that was originally an hour-long special.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part at the very beginning where Darkwing is chasing a bunch of criminals. In the the original pilot version, that's actually the first time you hear the opening. They played the opening over him chasing these bad guys. For the syndicated version, which is the episode split in 2, they played the regular opening. So when they go to the syndicated part where he's chasing the criminals, they just put random like cartoony like stock music there, while so there's no voice. It's just weird noises as Darkwing is trying to stop these criminals. Despite the fact that like what's supposed to be there is the daring duck of mystery.
could have just left it there. It would have just enhanced the mood.
You know,
of the scene.
I think Charmed had a box set like this.
I wouldn't be
Yes,
surprised.
they did.
Did they? Okay, I couldn't remember for sure.
I remember because my brother was seriously considering buying it back in the day.
Yeah,
Which I think it actually is worth a lot of money
I
now.
would not be surprised. I'm surprised. I'm sure this.
I've
is
never
probably
seen
a lot
those
of
Buffy
money.
ones out in the wild. I've only ever seen like one tape of it. I've never seen any of the other ones.
Actually, didn't you say you looked up like the complete of all these sets is like
It's like
$100?
Yeah, it's like $100.
Yeah, so I got a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those mail order books, like where we would pick out stuff like this.
Yeah.
Not just the sets, but like comic books like this. Or
Yeah, I had a
figurines
Rugrats mail-in order set that from Nickelodeon themselves that actually had those. Sadly, I don't have them anymore.
No, I would hold on to those forever because I'd be like, someday, even if I can't do it now, someday I'll buy these things. No, it didn't happen.
Like VHS is just such a. Because we were actually talking with the guy that like we were because today when you were buying stuff.
Because I got a stack of blanks that's still sealed.
Still sealed.
I got them for $3.
I'm having flashbacks because I'm older than both of these guys and like.
Well, so did I. Because like I told him like we were looking. I was like, oh, blanks, and I saw these and I was like, I don't get those for me because like they're so high up and I was like
I had to get on my
taller
tippy toes to get them.
He got them and I'm like looking at them. I'm like, I haven't seen this case design in like 2 decades. I've seen like the blue and black Sony ones that I keep seeing, or like that RCA, the green and black ones. I haven't seen these in so damn long.
See, my parents were early adopters of technology, so like, just in preparation, because my family loved to videotape, we had an entire entertainment unit, and all the cabinets on the bottom were just full of empties, so that we could record our TV shows and our holidays and all this stuff. Like, there was never a time where we didn't have empties somewhere for this kind of thing.
That was actually kind of like my house too.
Yeah, same. And like he was saying, we were talking with the guy that runs that shop, and he even said he's like, the last year like VHS has come back. Like people actually are like he's like the guy was telling us that like like a couple years ago he would have a stack of them.
Yeah.
That he couldn't give away, and now it's like people are always he's like people are calling him all the time. You're like you got a working VCR, like you got tapes.
I think it's a lot like vinyls, though. Like, a lot of people, they do like the clarity and crispness of modern technology, but having that imperfectness.
Yeah.
It has its own homey effect, especially for people of our generation who remember that from their childhood. So even if it's applied to something new, it still is nostalgic. It's pleasant to the senses.
I think there's that. I also think
Dolly Parton did an 8-track, a brand new 8-track recently that was an Amazon exclusive, which I'm like, is 8-track coming back?
If I were Dolly Parton,
I can actually get parts for my 8-track player now.
Anything Dolly Parton wants to do, bless her
if I were Dolly Parton, I would actually make them always 2, just because I could not help myself. But I think the other, well, I do agree with your guys' statements about like the homie, because I do agree. I have a feeling of nostalgia for VHS. I think the other thing is, there's so much media that's never going to get released onto DVD or Blu-ray.
We were amazed at the Reb Brown Captain America movies, which we watched the first one on a tape. I have an rental. It actually has the Hollywood Video stamp on the back side of it.
Come July, when we're going to start doing Captain America month, and we're going to get to those movies. We're working on it.
But like...
Yeah, there's honestly so much media, and that's part of why...
Those have never been on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
There's part of why we recorded all that stuff is like, yeah, I've got 2 things of holidays right here, but I've got movies that never would have been released today, and then I've got another one that's just Xmas shows that have never been released since '98.
Which it's like, I think that's why like I have a VHS to DVD converter unit that's like $15. I bought it downtown at the Humane Society thrift store, and I told my mom like I'm buying it just because like I can convert. I'm like and she's like, is it worth anything? It's like I went online and I looked. I'm like, okay, I popped in the model number for like $200. That's how much that thing's worth. And I paid like $15. It doesn't have a remote or anything, but like it works.
It's funny.
God bless a VCR remote that still works. To this day.
I have 4 VCRs. I got remotes for 0 of them.
Also, don't ask me to ever program the timer on that.
I don't know how to program the timer.
To this day, no one does.
But
I mean, I was amazed I learned how to hook the laptop into the VCR to record stuff.
It's so complicated to like get them because you have to like go through like 7 different settings in order to like record the.
Can anybody set the clock on the VCR?
I'm sorry, your cat is just attacking the darkness, so I
There's probably catnip under there somewhere. And,
eyes high.
And also, he's a Maine Coon. He's half dog.
I attack the darkness.
Can anybody set the clock?
I am the dark.
Can anybody set the clock on the VCR?
Sindri
That was
says
actually
what's
what I was meaning.
Nobody can set the clock.
I mean, it's easy to record. It's another thing to try and get that stupid clock on it to work.
It honestly is. Record, one button.
Don't.
Set the time, 7 menus, 3 options,
The only thing
and
that
then you have to
sucks with-
choose which time zone.
The thing that sucks with not having a remote though, I can't get the tapes into EP mode.
Yeah.
So I can only do 2 hours when I got these like the 6 length HQ tapes.
Yeah.
So I might need to try to program a universal or something.
Yeah. Funny with the Mary Shelley, going back to my format thing, that was released by TriStar. TriStar doesn't no longer exist. I mean, thankfully it got absorbed into Sony, so like that stuff will get released by Sony.
But you imagine like what's the legalities with some of that stuff?
Yeah,
like that's a problem with a lot of stuff. Like,
Well, that was why it took forever to get Batman '66 onto DVD.
TriStar.
Because
Or, like-
it originally was owned by NBC, and NBC didn't want to give the rights to Warner Brothers, who owns the right to DC.
or how about like the Ewok movies?
In the Ewok movie.
Disney Plus just threw up onto the service.
I mean, there's a lot of
I wanna
questionable
know-
problems with Disney owning all that shit, but at least
At
Disney
least
will
they're like,
release
we
it.
don't have to fuck with the legalities of who owns what because we own 20th Century Fox. Therefore, we could put it out there.
Well, not only that, if you're the creator of something like Doug, technically Nickelodeon could never release Doug on DVD because he owned the rights to Doug.
Now it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, at first I was actually worried because I thought it was just going to be the Disney seasons of Doug, and the Disney seasons of Doug sucked.
And the movie.
And the movie, which also sucks.
Yeah,
But-
anytime they change owners, like my friend and I just rewatched the entire Gargoyles series, which was
Oh my
originally
God.
Disney, and then the last season.
The Goliath Chronicles.
Yeah, the last season was taken up. I think it was by Fox, and the creator.
Actually,
was not,
no. I think it was backwards. I think originally Disney had it under Buena Vista, which is.
that could be.
But then when it came to when it came from being the Disney Afternoon, where it was like weekly scheduled, it became a Saturday morning thing with Goliath Chronicles. A lot of that was it had to get re-standardized because Saturday mornings have a much different.
That's true.
Like.
But like the last season, the creator wasn't involved or anything.
Yeah, that too.
Woo! It's officially not canon. The third
Yeah,
season.
like what, such things as Xanatos being a good guy, which no.
No.
Goliath getting literally put on trial. Broadway
Nah.
getting a cooking show. I think it was Broadway.
I think it was Broadway.
Yeah, the chubby one. I think.
You
Broadway.
guys
Yeah.
talking about this reminds me of how I wish the last like 4 seasons of Charmed weren't canon.
That in the comics.
Oh, that show went down.
In the comics, Goliath got the fuck the cop. His name.
Elisa.
Elisa. Thank you. I don't know why that name escaped me.
It happens.
Yeah, but like him and Lisa actually bang. Like
Yeah,
all the
it's
time.
official.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they bang. It's amazing.
Which, as it should be. You get that, Elisa. You get that.
Yeah, I did like a little bit of stuff in there. Like I like Bronx becoming like Goliath deciding he wants to be like Hudson and being like the elder and letting Bronx become lead. It was a little weird that he was
Bronx was the dog. You mean Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I'm sorry.
You getting
Bronx
taken,
is a good boy, but
Bronx
he's
is a
not
good
that
boy.
much
you
of a
getting
good
taken
boy.
to school, motherfucker.
Look, Bronx, Brooklyn, 2 B names. I get them mixed up. It's
And the little green one with the wings and connected to his
Yeah,
arms,
is,
that's Lexington.
yeah, Lexington.
Just in case you forgot, sweetie.
But,
It has been forever since I've actually sat and watched it, so I apologize.
Meanwhile, I just watched it like a week ago with my girlfriend. The entire thing, one binge watch, more or less.
I remember Demona though, because Demona was.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like Goliath. I like Elisa's pretty hot, but Demona though.
Even when she gets turned into a human, like.
Yeah. No, well, Goliath was pretty good looking as a human too.
Oh yeah.
Another idea too.
But honestly, though, for one moment, using the wings as a cape,
Oh my god.
that was such galaxy brain.
I apologize for us getting
No, you're
lost
good.
on the gargoyles.
I've never seen it, so I was like, I
You'd actually
have
like
nothing to offer
Loki,
here.
you would actually like gargoyles. Like I, if I sat you down and watched it, you would like gargoyles.
I think another thing with the physical media is just like this is art.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
this is art.
Yeah,
right
you got-
here.
you
You
got
can't get this
Adrian Paul.
on a slim case. You know, you
Yeah.
can't get that. It's kind of the same with like with vinyl. You know, like there's a famous interview with Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam.
I'm gonna
Like,
sit
right after
sitting on much.
I want to say right after the 10 movie dropped.
That's
You tried.
Like right after the 10 album dropped, they were
Mm-hmm.
talking about like it being on CD, and he's holding up a CD copy. He's like, I hate this. This is so small.
yeah.
Like I'd rather be holding up an album where you can see all the artwork. And like with that album especially, if you look at the CD cover, you just have the Pearl Jam logo in the back, and then like, all of them holding hands.
Yeah.
If you get the vinyl, it's like the whole picture.
Yeah.
Like that the cover is just a hand, like the CD pamphlet folds out. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it too is that it's not only just the nostalgia of getting the physical media.
Yeah.
It's just that like you get so many variants.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how many copies of the Raimi movies do I own? And
you own,
all
like,
of them have different covers.
Yeah, you own like so many.
Like, cause it's wild.
Yeah, like the different VHS releases to the various DVD releases over the
Betamax,
years. The Betamax.
if there was a Betamax.
Yeah.
VCD.
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc.
God, I tried to buy a Laserdisc
Yeah,
player
him and
recently,
I
and my
I've actually
PayPal,
tried going halvesies on a Laserdisc.
I tried buying one through eBay, and eBay shit the bed and wouldn't take my card for it.
Yeah.
Like I think like they actually, I called the bank and figured I was wrong. It was something on the seller's end, like his account wouldn't take my cash for some reason. So I got the money back. It didn't go up. But I was more like, damn it, I wanted a fucking Laserdisc player.
It's also funny you mentioned the art thing because like with DVDs, I remember when box sets were starting to be more of a thing. They used to have like these really intricate like boxes.
My Buffy ones,
yeah,
where I've like they fold out.
Yeah, and they were cool. Like I actually have a Rocco's Modern Life DVD where if you pop it open on the inside, you have like a picture of all the different Rocco characters like in his house. It looks really neat. Nowadays, DVD sets
you don't get shit. Like,
yeah,
the reissue slim case, because with Buffy I have the slim set and I have the big box set. All the I showed him like a comparison. Like here's season 2. Here's the slim case where all the episode information is behind the cover.
And now you're lucky if there's anything even printed on the inside.
And I showed him. I'm like, this looks pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
They pull out the big box. I flip it open. It's got all the art. It's got all the pamphlets and stuff. And he's like,
yeah.
What the fuck? I'm like,
well, and not only that, like I have I got for Christmas this year the 89 Ninja Turtle series, the entire thing on box set.
Is it in one of those well cases?
Yeah.
Which I hate. My
and not only that,
Dawson's Creek
they're
set
like
was
stacked
that.
against each other too, so I always get worried. Well, the other thing is,
my Dawson's Creek set's like that. My Star Trek Voyager set's like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I have those big binders anymore, because I'm not playing
it's
with those
so heartbreaking because like the original box set for it was shaped like the Turtles' van, the party van, and it had like them all in there in a nice little box, and it looked really cool because it had the Turtles in the van. And then I get this and I'm like, I mean, I need it because I should have went on the party van, but like yeah, and then I open it up, I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. And not only that, the DVDs are stupid because like the first season DVD set, which is only one disc because the first season is only 5 episodes, it has like bonus episodes from like the later Red Sky episodes, and I'm like, I don't want to watch the Red Sky episodes right now though. I want to watch like the good, especially because the Red Sky episodes suck.
How about the Bewitched box that I have, where they're in, like, it's the shittiest box that I should have brought it.
Yeah.
Like you open, you look at it, you think it's it's got a jewel in it, right?
Yeah.
Pops open, they're all in little like cardboard sleeves. They just topple out.
No, I hate them.
They're not even organized either.
No. Oh my god.
It was
my first.
I only paid $20 for the whole show.
Yeah.
But like when I got that box at home, you can ask him. I texted him. I was fucking pissed.
Yeah, my Ultraman and
this is the stupidest box that I've ever seen.
My VCD of Gundam 83 Stardust Memory. They're in little like the envelopes you get like GameStop when they don't have the
the paper sleeves.
Yeah, the paper sleeves. The Ultraman's one especially are because they're all like layered together in like a little spot, and like I had to pull them out very gently, or else I'm afraid they're gonna.
That's why, like I said, I've invested in those binders anymore because it's just purely for sets like that I know have the shittiest case designs.
Which, if you get the Ultraman box sets, go through the Shout Factory ones because I'm pretty sure the Shout Factory ones actually have like actual cases. Well, the other thing is like speaking of cases, like now with Blu-ray, they're like how you get like DVD movies because they don't have to have like as many discs, so they just pack them in there and it's just. Here's the box set cover.
I got this is a little off topic, but I want to talk about. You want to really know what really grinds my fucking gears with cases, whether it be DVD or Blu-ray, the ones that have the fucking tabs on the side.
Why don't you? Because I think that one has the tabs, so we can go into the next thing.
It does. This shit.
Yeah.
Like, why? Stupid.
Yeah.
Everybody I knew back when DVDs used to have those little ones on the sides.
Yeah, broke them.
You would bust those off immediately.
Yeah, if you didn't know they were there, you
plastic
just
for one.
Yeah, and if you didn't know they were there, you just and then it just would explode.
And they explode. They go everywhere. They hit your cat. They hit your grandma.
They blew my
Mom
window
screams.
I hate plastic
out.
shards.
The neighbors got it embedded in the wall.
Irritating, and they get everywhere. Like glitter.
Yeah,
Craft herpes.
those cases are annoying as fuck. Which
Speaking of,
do you want to move on to that?
Speaking of formats that are annoying as fuck.
This is a new format. We didn't do this one last time.
Yeah.
I was out doing my weekly rounding of thrifting, which I do every Saturday with my mom. I've done that every year since probably 2008.
Yeah.
Like every weekend, me and my mom go do that. And I ran across Ang Lee's Hulk on HD
DVD.
and this was sealed. I opened this.
Yeah.
It was still factory sealed.
So
because I only own this on DVD.
Yeah.
And I had loaned it to him, and he was
taking forever because I didn't want to watch
that
this
movie's terrible. So I don't.
Yeah.
Blame him.
So
Because I went home and watched it after he gave it back. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I'm
was
sorry.
He was so mad that I didn't want to watch this film.
Well, cause to be fair, I have anxiety and I have issues with people borrow my shit.
He
Because
says,
I've had people never give stuff back.
which fine, but you say that as you have like
And listen to me.
shit tons of my books.
You didn't even read the entire Crossing. I don't want to hear it.
Motherfucker, you have 52, all volumes of 52, which I've read a lot.
I haven't even got to that. I can't read multiple things. I
Which
got
mean fair.
ADHD.
Also, I know fair.
But anyway,
I did get a little.
I
better.
found this, and I was like, "Is that 8?" I saw it. I thought it was a Blu-ray
Actually,
case.
wasn't I with you when you got this?
No, this
no,
was-
you.
that was my mom.
I wasn't with you.
I saw it and I'm like, "Oh look, a Blu-ray." I'm like, "A Blu-ray copy of this." And I pull it out and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like,
So-
I thought it was weird. It was red,
Yeah.
but I thought maybe somebody had shoved it in a different case. Then I saw it was sealed. I'm like, I actually had to text you. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
So for those of
'Cause I
you,
didn't remember this.
for those of you who also probably don't remember what HD DVD was, back when Blu-ray became a thing, it was mainly a thing that because originally there used to not be such a thing as Blu-ray DVDs. It used to be if you wanted to watch Blu-ray, you got a PS3. Until eventually Sony just started making separate Blu-ray players for people that. But basically, you know,
And even then, they were like what, $800
and they
for
were
like 4
$800.
years.
So just buy a
When they,
PS.
when they were expensive as hell.
But, like, you know, most of us who had were Sony PlayStation guys were like,
We were
that's
like,
not
oh
a big
yeah.
deal.
My PS3 was my first Blu-ray player.
And sure, it was a little more expensive for Blu-ray, but you got a much crisper look. And I think sometimes the aspect ratios were fixed for Blu-ray compared to standardized DVD. But the thing is, it was a Sony thing only because for a long time Sony had the threshold on Blu-ray. So Microsoft was like, we can do it too, which gave us HD DVD, which I don't know like the spec differences between Blu-ray and HD.
There's a comparison somewhere. It's 1080p, I know that. High definition widescreen. It also has a 480 standard definition version on it.
Yeah, which I think is basically if you have like a standard TV, it means it'll play in 480 instead of 1080.
Like if you didn't have a fucking if you didn't have an HDMI at that point.
Yeah, which
I didn't have an HDMI for my PS3 until 2015.
pretty much that was me too.
So,
So like I didn't have an HD cable because I didn't want to buy an extra cable.
I remember getting the one for the PS4 and I was like, my god, it's so fucking sharp. What the hell?
Yeah, it really was like that. It really do
it's
be
like
that
looking
way.
at real life. Then I went
Um,
back and put the PS3 on. I'm like, oh, this looks fucking ass. I had to go buy another one and hook up to that.
Also, like HDMI cables are just like the best, just because you don't have to have like 7 different cables plugged into both electronics. It's just one wire, and you don't have your back looking like the back of your TV looking like it's a fucking fire hazard. With the 800 wires back there that'll just catch fire eventually and kill you.
God, I
But
remember
yeah,
those days.
These died off, I want to say, like 2013-ish?
Yeah, 2013-ish.
Because I haven't seen one in stores in
I
a
think
And
it's
good
they
while.
didn't live for very long anyway. They,
Well,
they
I've
were
never
only
even
around for
seen a
couple
player
years.
for one.
Yeah, like
Like, remember we went and looked.
Yeah.
You can't find them on eBay because there's a plethora of other HD DVD players that are
Yeah.
not capable of playing these.
And to be fair, like that, the whole reason was simply because more people had PlayStations than Xboxes, and I don't think Microsoft realized, unlike Sony, hey, if we want to sell more Blu-rays, we got to make a separate player.
Yeah.
Like I literally feel like it was because like Sony figured it out beforehand. Like it's great that we can have like something special for PlayStation to play. You need to have a separate thing because I think another thing was with Xbox, they wanted the Xbox to be a multimedia player instead of just a game console.
And
Except
it
that
just didn't work.
because that's one of the reasons why Nintendo does so well.
I
Because
think because the 360 was pretty shit.
well, for Nintendo, it's just like, no, you're buying this to play games, and for a lot of people, that's all they want with a game system. They don't want it to be a multimedia experience.
Yeah, for me, it's easier. I mean, I've been a Sony guy like basically my whole life.
Yeah.
It's just easier for me because like when I moved, for example,
Yeah.
I had 4 or 5 totes full of just video game systems. Like, and granted, I had like my VCRs. I
Yeah.
had a DVD player somewhere in there. I don't know where it is, but I had one at one point. It got to the point where like that night, I think I told you, I'm like, I hooked the PS4 up and said, "Fuck it, that was all I'm hooking up tonight."
Well, but you get my point, right?
At least I can do everything.
Because like
on
not
it.
everybody wants to buy a game console because they want to watch movies. Like for some people, they don't want to buy games. They'll just buy a Blu-ray or DVD player or what have you. And
I got a
Cool.
guy I know. He's like, I don't need Blu-ray. I don't need 4K. I just need a DVD.
and like that was such a wild time too. Because not only were you having Blu-ray and HD DVDs, I wish I had brought my PSP. You also had UMD with the PSP having movies.
God, I
on,
forgot UMD. We even
Yeah.
existed.
Where like they were literally like, I mean, granted, at least they played the whole movie. It wasn't like say like the Game Boy player where you would have like maybe like half a movie or an episode.
Yeah.
Which, oh my god, Game Boy player. Was
For
so
the
fucking
longest
bad.
time, I never saw these when I would go out thrifting. I would see DVDs, I would see tapes, I would see Blu-ray. I've never seen a Betamax anywhere. So I don't think we're in a rich enough area for that to
No,
have been a
I-
thing
I-
over
yeah.
here. But like recently, I've seen these start popping up, which is just weird to me. I'm like,
Probably because a lot of
at
people
two
are-
different stores. I'm just like, who had the player? Because I want the player.
I guarantee it wasn't a player. I guarantee it was people that had Xboxes and realized that like, eventually like either the Xboxes aren't going to work, and I think modern Xboxes no longer even support
No,
this.
because remember,
They
I threw it in my one. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I threw it in my laptop. Doesn't work.
They support Blu-ray.
Tried it in the PS4. The PS4 said, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Because I
It's
think
out of me.
because Blu-ray is also what is I think standard now for video games too.
It is.
For like PS.
Yeah, they all run
yeah.
on Blu-ray discs.
But basically, I guarantee you, it's people that were Xbox people only, bought these instead of Blu-rays.
And then once the 360 died, they realized we can't fucking watch these.
Yeah.
So these are junk.
Yeah, so they started upgrading to Blu-ray or 4K.
And I've never really seen movies like this. This has like been the best one I've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones I've seen have been like BBC nature docs and stuff, which makes you think like somebody, at like the college,
Yeah, probably.
might have had an HD DVD player, thinking that was gonna be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Like people that thought Betamax was gonna be the next big thing, and then it shot down in flames.
Well,
Which,
like,
I'm
going
still
back,
looking for a Betamax. I will get one eventually.
going back to like Blu-ray, like it goes back to like how gaming eventually became more discs anything anymore, because like discs were just cheaper than cartridges, and they stored more. Granted, you had to live with the fact that the loading times would be atrocious, but it would be much much nicer looking and run better.
Yeah.
Because like it's funny because like Nintendo has gone back to cartridges now with the SD cards, and I actually know a lot of games that if you get on modern consoles will have loading times, much longer loading times than that, which like
Well,
would
and
be almost
even
instant.
then, some people have gone the totally digital route and
Yeah.
not had the physical, which I don't like because
Eventually it's gonna like
Well,
you're not gonna be able to find
the
it.
example I always use is the Amazing Spider-Man movie
Yeah.
games. They had 2 of them. They were on PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4. Activision made those because at that point they had the Spider-Man license and they did a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other ones. Then the license ran out and they couldn't renew it. So what they did was they yanked them off the store,
Yeah.
and if you had bought it digitally, it was gone from your console.
Which I find
So-
stupid because like
It's like
if I
they're
pay
they're
for it,
so
it better
rare
stay.
now. I think I paid $60 to have the 360 versions of both
Yeah.
because you can't find them and you can't get the DLC for either of them anymore.
Yeah.
So I would actually think maybe the DLC is like lost media now.
Well, the problem is also if someone cared enough, they probably would be able to release it for free. Like if someone like cared enough about this game and it's
Well, because
DLC.
the second one's on PC too.
Yeah.
And I know there's a following for it because there's mods still for it, but it's like I've never seen the PC.
Yeah,
copy
well, that was why
anywhere.
it was so amazing that the people that made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the game, they finally re-released it for Switch because that game was originally a Wii game, and I think a lot of the bonuses like Nega Scott and some of the other things for it when the Wii's like online capabilities stopped working, a lot of it was lost, including I think even playing the game. It's like one of the few times where a Nintendo game doesn't stay on your console after the online functionality goes out. Like it was that's why it was such a big deal when like for the anniversary of that game, they released like because people were like the game's back, like it was because like you couldn't play it anymore.
Well, now like Sony announced they're shutting down the PS3, Vita, and PSP stores. So after that, if you want to get like your DLC for games, you won't be able to get it anymore.
I was more surprised the Vita store was still up because they haven't made Vitas in like.
I was more amazed the PSP store was still up.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a PSP in like a better half of a decade.
Yeah. PSP that like.
I remember when that was the hottest shit.
Yeah.
And now like, I think Adam is like the only one I know that owns one still.
Which I only
own.
Well,
Jonathan owns one. I was actually trying to buy it off him, but he doesn't know where it is.
Like I own a PSP because I wanted to import a Kamen Rider game onto there because like PSPs were like one of the few consoles back in the day that was region free.
And now all of them are, which
pisses me the fuck off.
If I want to get like Biohazard from Japan, I can just import it and throw it in the PlayStation.
Well, because like the Wii version of that Kamen Rider game I wanted, if I were to get like the Wii version for it, I would have to do so much modding to the Wii because Nintendo, out of any of the consoles that if you want to try and de-region lock it, it's usually the most annoying to do. I think the easiest one was like the Super Nintendo because all you had to do is you would get this thing called a Honeybee. You would literally slot it into a Super Nintendo cartridge and then slot it on. And basically it would go around the whatever chip it was to say, oh, this is a Japanese game, you can't play that. No. It's always been that way. The Game Boy Player cartridges I was just talking about. You couldn't play them in the GameCube player because they didn't want copyright pirating to be happening.
I've never understood why they give a fuck about that. I really don't. Like Sony and Microsoft anymore have been like, we don't give a fuck.
It's just
you've bought the game.
It's just piracy. Just like some companies have kind of just accepted and some haven't. I think Nintendo's gotten a little bit better at it. I say a little bit.
There also used to always be those weird copyright locks on stuff. Like the biggest one I can think of off the top of my head that was a weird one was Star Wars Battlefront on the PS2, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have a DualShock controller for the PS2, not a PS1 version, you had to have a PS2, it wouldn't let you play. It literally was like, you go and get a PS2 DualShock controller or you ain't playing.
Right, I was like,
I thought was like, I remember just thinking like, that is the biggest load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, why do they give a fuck?
My favorite is whenever they do something crazy. If you were to buy like a bootleg game that was like copy from it, like.
This is your last chance. Your PS2 will no longer work after this if you don't stop.
One of my favorites. I know. If you buy a bootleg copy of Batman Arkham City, if you try to fly, literally Batman will not open his wings and will just fall. And then it'll prick up a little sign that says, if you want to play the actual game, you got to buy a legitimate copy. I know there's one for Persona 4 where literally Adachi calls you a piece of shit because you bought a plagiarized copy.
It's like the South Park game where you try to put the codes in and fucking Cartman's like, hey, Tom Brady, you actually want to play the fucking game correctly?
Yeah, or, there's some others where it was like that. I know if Banjo-Kazooie, if you do too many cheats, I want to say cheaty, or like the cheat code guy will literally be like, well, now you put in too many cheats in, so now I'm going to have to lower all your health and shit.
How about back in the day with PC games where they would put the manuals would have the passwords, or you had to answer trivia questions, and they would.
My god!
I've seen ones for like, because I'm a big racing sim guy, and so like there's a lot of older sims that like that.
Yeah.
I've seen ones where like the password page in the manual is on brown paper, so you can't even copy it.
Yeah.
Because they were that paranoid about it. It's like black text on a brown paper, which I'm like, that is so hard to fucking see.
Yeah.
And they wonder why jailbreak things are a thing. Probably because shit like that.
I remember, this is from AVGM, when he did those Bible games that had, like, questions, and you had to refer to the manual to get what questions. Like, who's gonna do that? Or, like, what if you buy this game secondhand and there's no manual?
More importantly, why are you playing the Bible game, NES game to begin with?
Like, I mean, yeah, but, like, you get my, like...
Fucking throw Baby Moses in the water.
Well, yeah, obviously. Baby Moses.
You got all the way to the end, but you forgot Baby Moses.
Yes. You got some other stuff here that's a little bit older.
Since we're talking about gaming, let's talk about this monstrosity. Since I don't think I've ever shown Lee this. Have you ever seen one of these?
My parents used to own one when I was very small, and I don't actually remember it. I just remember seeing the box around. We didn't have it hooked up when I was a kid,
Oh.
and this is a Commodore 64.
Which I've had issues. This thing powers on. I can't get any video or audio signal out of it.
And I do love the box when you opened it up. There's a flap on the box that says, "Welcome to the world of friendly computing." And that's it's just so sweet, you ancient, old, decrepit
My
dinosaur.
favorite is how heavy the power box is.
Look at this thing! This
The
thing weighs
beast.
more than my cat, and he's a Maine Coon.
I actually read somewhere that these go bad, and it's actually what kills the computers because I guess like something part in it goes bad and it shorts everything out.
Oh my god.
Well, I think what also. I think
I'm like,
a
is
lot
that
of
planned
times
obsolescence?
Yeah.
That early?
It'll heat up the power slot here, and it will basically overheat the motherboard and will just fry it. I actually had a cell phone plug. I was
Well, that
charging
broken
my cell
key's
phone
in there.
one
There's a
morning.
key that's busted on that
One morning
I've
at
never
work,
fixed.
and literally I watched the charger on my cell phone just start smoking.
Yeah, like
But-
to give you an idea, Lee, of like when I bought this, so it came in the mail. I think I paid like $100 and something for this, and like I got it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now how do I hook it up to the TV? And I'm like, oh, RF, cool.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I went online looking up how do you hook this up because everything I've ever said says this is a coax.
Yeah.
So I put a coax in it. It doesn't look like a coax. I immediately was like, that does not look like a fucking coax.
Oh, it does not.
Put the coax in. Nothing. Black screen on my TV. I'm like, okay, cool. So I bought an RF cable because I have an RF cable for the Intellivision and a couple of my older systems.
Yeah.
Ran it into the TV through the adapter to make it into coax into the TV. I get nothing but a black screen, but it's when I turn it on and off, like when I rock the power switch, it's saying, hey, I'm getting a signal, but it doesn't. I get no video. I get no audio. I don't understand what's wrong
Then
with
to
it.
be fair to the Commodore, everything will break on it eventually.
I mean, like, you can ask Adam. The one day, like, he came over and I had it on my bed and like, I had the screws off of it and I had actually ripped it apart to look at it.
Yeah, because like it
I don't
works when it
understand
wants to.
I don't understand what's wrong with it. It just doesn't want to work.
Yeah, which we need to find like an electronics person that can probably tell you what's
There's a
wrong
guy in
with it.
Meadville that probably, if I brought it in, I'd be like,
Yeah.
make it work. I don't even care if you put an HDMI slot on it. Just make it fucking work.
I mean, heck, you could probably ask my dad. He's put them together and apart so many times when I was a kid.
If not, we could always get you the micro Commodore 64 that they
Yeah.
made. Yeah, like
Yeah.
because you
I
remember
might have to do that honestly, Lee,
Yeah.
because like I would like to get this to work.
Mm.
It's just
Is
I
it like-
know like next to nothing about programming anything or
Because-
fixing it.
Because see, my parents, when I was in living with, they actually had a graphic design company, and they had a lot of computer type stuff as soon as it came available, so that they could use it for their company. Thankfully, that went out by like the time they started homeschooling me when I think I was 8, because holy shit, they were like my mom. My mom has ADD, and that was just not working anymore.
No, yeah, I could see that.
But
But yeah, there's still people that program shit for that. There's
Yeah.
a guy on YouTube I watched that he has like an entire like notebook full of shit he's programmed for it.
It's like when it works, it's a surprisingly great computer.
You can plug a freaking Atari like an Atari 2600 and a Genesis controller in it and it'll
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Because they have the
Um,
same end adapter to it.
Speaking of, I was surprised that like that thing actually had like a plug in a box instead of being those stupid fat plugs. Like remember when we were trying to get the Sega CD to run?
Oh my god, the power box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you already had like 3 or 4 power boxes
I mean,
in
'cause
there.
it's got one in there, but it's not anywhere
Yeah.
near that. It's got a normal outlet. You know, you remember the Genesis with the big power pack? When we
yeah.
plugged in my Genesis to get my CD add-on to
Yeah.
work, I had to use a separate power strip.
Yeah. Because it has just as big of a box as the Genesis on its end.
And we would have been shit out of luck if I had the 32X, because there ain't no way in fuck I'm fitting another thing on that end, that cord.
Speaking of, let's tell them the story about what we had to do to get that the Genesis and the
Story
CD to.
time.
Yeah, so we bought it.
Yeah.
It was like brand new in the box.
Yeah.
Still had the Kmart sticker on it, had all the manuals, had all the paperwork. It looked like brand new.
Yeah, it looked like nobody had even used it in forever.
We saw it one time and then left without it. And then I told Adam, like, we gotta go back. I've been thinking
Well,
about
I even
it.
this is one of the few times I actually encouraged you to spend money. Where I was like, no,
we need to go back and get
you need
this.
to get that. You're never gonna find one in this good a condition.
So we went back and bought it. Then we took it home. And so I'm like, okay, got my Model 2 Genesis. I don't know where the fucking power pack for that is. The power pack for the first
Yeah.
version, because I have both versions of it.
Yeah.
The power pack for the first one won't work on the second one. So I'm like, fuck me. Okay.
Well, it's a good
so
thing
I
you
went
didn't
and
have
got the other one.
As a real quick aside, it's a good thing you don't have a Model 3 because... Or no, that's for the 32X, but I think there is some additionals for the third version.
So I went and got the other one. I have the one that's got the red on it with the power and the headphone jack.
Yeah.
Because that thing is capable of stereo output, which
Yeah.
is nuts to me. But, so we look up online. I'm like, because there's no... It doesn't even tell you in the instructions how to fucking put it together, I'm pretty sure. I had to look it up.
Either I think it did tell you, but like we had to figure out how to open.
I didn't understand what it was asking me to do.
Yeah.
Was the problem.
So
it's like, take the cover off where the motherboard is, and
Yeah.
I'm like looking at it, I'm like, this thing on the side. It's like I'm prying on it. I'm like, and I was like, is there sure it's that? I'm like, dude, it's that. I don't want to break it.
yeah. So
it felt like it was gonna break.
So we had to take part of the cover off, and then the red protector for the motherboard was
you
on
have
it.
to take the red cover off of it.
Yeah, and
then it's because it's got the CD has a motherboard adapter on the end that you have to slam them together.
like they're mating.
After all that, the CD still needs its own power pack.
Yeah,
it can't even leach off of the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like God forbid again if I had a 32X adapter for it because
the 32X also has a big plug, and not only that,
you have to have a cable to fit into it to the CD because there's 32X CD games that you need both.
Well, even then,
and you need to have
you need a wire for the Genesis because it actually doesn't read unless you have a wire connecting to it.
And to top it all off, we had to fuck around with a coax cable to get it to work. So we fucked around for like 30 minutes of me trying to get a signal.
Yeah.
And then we got it.
No sound.
Yeah, there wasn't even sound on it. So I had
which actually turned out was because
I had the volume on the Genesis all the way off.
Yeah.
Oops.
But I've never had that issue before.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever plugged into the TV straight up to the Genesis, sound comes in. So then we got it. And the worst part, it wasn't even full fucking screen.
Yeah, he had like a big screen.
I have a 70
It literally was like a third of the
like I was watching Rolf's TV from Ed, and Eddie.
No, it really was like Rolf's TV from Ed, and Eddie.
We were trying to play it, and I'm like, Adam, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I can't even tell.
It didn't even come in good, which I don't know if that was just because of how old the thing is.
We had River Rats. That was the one we had.
Oh, Sewer Shark.
Sewer Shark. Whatever, same thing. Then we were going through my discs the one day after I moved because I have a huge PC and all my PC games, my PS1 and my Dreamcast games are all on the same shelf mixed up, and I don't know where anything is. So I was like looking through them the one day when we did my PS1 video, and I'm looking through this one case, and I'm like, Adam, there's a Sega CD game in here. He's like, you told me you didn't have any more. I'm like, I didn't think I did. Clearly I found
Mr.
it.
Catalog.
Clearly I found it and bought it somewhere because I never fucking seen one.
Yeah. You're never probably going to see a 32X
I've never even tried
game.
it because I'm not hooking that fucker up again.
You're probably never going to see like a CD 32X game.
No, I've never even seen a picture of one.
Well, because like those were even rare. Because the 32X, I think maybe only lasted like 6 months, if that.
That was the Genesis on fucking life support.
Yeah.
It looks like it even. As James Rolfe says, it has all these wires.
Because like the 32X was originally supposed to be its own separate console, called the Neptune. It was supposed to be like the answer to the PS2 or the PlayStation. It was 32-bit like the PlayStation. But then they were like, nah, we're gonna wait until we get to Saturn because Saturn was 64.
And then they killed the Saturn off after like 2 years, stopped supporting it, which made no fucking sense.
Well, it's
then they went on to do the Dreamcast.
Well, a lot of that was because like Saturn just was not able to keep up with the PlayStation.
The memory card runs on a fucking watch battery, and if it dies, bye games.
Yeah,
they're all gone. You can ask him. I've never.
Even if you replaced it.
Well, even if you replace it.
Yeah. And you can ask him, like, we plugged it in one time because I bought it somewhere. It was like $50. It's the only time I've ever seen one anywhere. I've never seen, even Vapeosity has never had one that I've seen.
Yeah.
So I bought it. I scooped it up and, like, I locked it in my car as soon as I got it.
Yeah.
Well, I got home and I was showing it to Adam and, like, I'm like, let's fire this up. And I hook it up. Thank God it had AV cords.
Yeah.
I wasn't fucking with that coax shit anymore.
No.
Kicks up. It's like, please set the clock. It's like, December 15th, 1995.
Yeah.
Was the one it's defaulted to.
Yeah, probably because I think that's when it debuted.
I set it all the way to the modern time. It does go that high. It's just I don't have a new battery in it because I don't know how to replace it, and I'm afraid to break it.
No, I don't think you even have any Saturn games in it. So
remember I had a couple.
Yeah, you did.
It didn't have any on the memory card. If it
Yeah.
did, they were gone. But like that, they were trying everything at that point.
Yeah.
It's got a big ass cartridge slot in the back, so you think you can run your Genesis games. It'll actually break the system if you put a Genesis game in there.
Yeah.
That's actually for an external memory card.
Oh my god, I tried to do the external memory thing like the 64.
I've never even seen anything for it. I've never seen anybody that has the external memory card for that fucker.
At least it was better than like the Jaguar, where it just like because at least that it,
Well, the Jaguar with no dust cover for the motherboard where the card goes in, so I had to buy a vinyl cover off Etsy
Yeah.
for it.
well that one I mean like at least it was like its own thing and like didn't have like weird programming hiccups to it like the Jaguar.
Even though the Jaguar is not actually 64 bits.
Yeah, it's two 32-bit modems
that are
snapped together.
jerry rigged together.
Yeah. So like it can play like it can do like polygons and stuff, but like it's not nearly as good as like the
There's also a
64
bitch to
or the
program
PS3.
for, so most people that did
or
games
PS1.
for it just did 2D games.
Yeah. Like
Because there were no dev kits given out for it.
it does have probably one of the better ports of Doom, except that there's no music.
It's got that AVP game that goes for
Oh, that
that
AVP
shit amount of
games,
money.
yeah, because that
It's
game
like
is actually really good.
$180 for it last time I saw it.
Well,
I
it's
was
really
just
good,
pissed.
except there's just one problem. They put it on the Jaguar.
It's never been ported anywhere else.
Never been ported.
Which at this point, like,
I'd like for us
So-
to try and find an emulator because I'd love to play
yeah,
that.
at this point, because like we've looked.
We've looked.
Cybermorph is the game I have for it. That's like $10.
Yeah.
The next cheapest game that I was able to find is like $120.
Jeez.
But it's all worth it to play Attack of the Killer Penguins.
Yeah, really. But that's just like
Yeah.
there's all this weird game shit where it's like they were just chucking
Frickin'
shit at the wall.
to try
What will
and beat
stick?
to try and beat Nintendo, to try and beat PlayStation. Like I can't even begin to tell you all the weird CD games for that try to
Sony pulled the fucking rug out from everybody on
Yeah,
that.
because like
They got hired by Nintendo to make the PS1. Then Nintendo said, "Fuck this, we're not going to do
Yeah.
discs." And Sony was like, "Can we buy off what we built for you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
knock yourself out. I don't think it's gonna go.
A year
anywhere.
later, PS1 drops.
Well, because like I give PlayStation a lot of credit. It does what it does well. It may not have been the most advanced thing even when it came out,
It
but
works.
it works.
It just works.
When it's easy to program, it works and it's easy to program. That's one of the few. Because like, that's why the Wii U died, because it was not programmable like the Wii. It was not easy to program. It's why the Switch is so great because
They realize it needs to be easy to program.
because if your game console is not easy to program with, it's gonna die.
It's why dev kits have become so much more common because
Yeah.
the people making the systems realize we need to fucking get these out.
Because if it's not easy to program for, you're gonna be fucked. Every single time.
It's like the opposite of the 5 now, where there's just not enough out there that developers like we're not fucking making anything for this because
Yeah.
you can't get a good supply of them out.
Yeah, which I worry that's gonna be like the killer for the PS5.
I don't think it will. I think it's
Well, and
It'll-
then to
it'll
be fair,
get-
it's
they'll
also
get going
it's also
again.
a pandemic thing too.
yeah
so,
they'll
like,
get going again.
Because I want a PS5.
So do I.
But anyway, I think that's enough about talking about it. Let's
What do you want to some of this music shit I brought?
yeah, bring on the music stuff.
I'm gonna show you the craziest thing because I didn't show this in the other video I have. So this is a 8-track to cassette adapter. Have you ever seen one of these, Lily?
Yes. Yes, and it was old and not very good by the time I remembered and hanging around with it. I was probably 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Not great to hang around.
which-
Like most politicians.
This thing did work at one point. It's been in my basement so long. I'm not throwing this in my 8-track player because I'm worried it's gonna bust my 8-track player. But it did work at one point.
Because the one we had, it was old and used enough from my dad using it for so many different things that, like, it would make this horrible screeching noise the
Yeah.
whole time. So, like, anytime he tried working with it, like, I was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, for those who kind of don't get what this is, basically if you had a vehicle and you only had an 8-track player in it, but you had cassettes, you could pop this bad boy in and it would just play the cassette like through the 8-track player. It's kind of like it's no different than like an MP3, like a cassette to MP3
Yeah.
or a Bluetooth speaker. It was just kind of the same thing, just older tech. And like, I actually want to say I got this at a thrift store downtown. I didn't even own an 8-track player at that point. I was like 7, and I saw it. I'm like, this is cool. My mom was like, Colton, I won't play the 8-tracks. I'm like, I want it. It's cool. And then years later, when I got my 8-track, I was like, I plugged it in and like actually like worked it and stuff. But like, it's just such an arcane piece of.
Oh god,
Like,
you're
look,
saying,
look at this thing. This thing looks so awkward.
yeah, it really does because it's like
Which I cleaned it up. It was dirty as shit before we brought it over. I
I
cleaned it.
bet.
for me, that sounds like that one time I went to a thrift store and I found this thing that make hard-boiled eggs cubed that you put in the fridge and it would make it cube shaped.
Jeez.
I never used it once. I just was like, this is so cool. I was like 13 or 14. I just wanted it because I wanted to make cube shaped hard-boiled eggs.
So, moving on real quick, just because there's not much you can say about that thing.
Yeah,
This is a Audiotronics Classette 152 player. It's a cassette player, and like, I think my aunt bought this for me at a yard sale somewhere. Which, when my dad was working on our house, and I was doing stuff, this was the only thing I had to listen to music on. I didn't even have a Bluetooth speaker that worked at that point. So like, I actually got this, and like my dad at one point, he's like, "We're gonna bring the receiver and shit out because that thing sounds fucking terrible and it's killing."
Yeah.
He's like, "It shouldn't be this hard to have music up here." But like, I've seen stuff like for these, like you can get like a strap for them and stuff because like I've seen movies where like, or like footage where people would use these for like if you were like on the job and you were a reporter and you were recording stuff, you know, because it's got the mic, it's got a headset in it. This was like your all-in-one audio studio basically, and it still does work. And actually, I don't think it sounds terrible. It doesn't sound very good.
Good, but
It doesn't sound awful.
Yeah, my family had something similar to that. It wasn't this exact model, obviously, but they were. Yeah, because I have so many stories about my family. My parents actually met because they were musicians, and they had similar things for like that when they were out, just catching random sounds that they wanted to add into their music when they were
oh
recording.
my god, I've seen so many comics and movies where they literally will just put the mic up from that.
Yeah, and like this has like, you know, it's got a PA system on it, so kind of like how my reel-to-reel player, when you put the mic into it, it goes through my speakers like a PA system. This had the, I've never had a microphone that works with this thing.
Yeah, that.
It's like I don't know if it will ever record anything. I mean, I wonder if the real player's mic
I wouldn't be surprised if
would
it
work. It's old enough, it might.
It might.
Might have to try it at some point. It might work.
So when does the cassettes pop out and turn into little robots, and this turns into a bigger robot that they all
Oh,
live in?
fucker, you know what? It never happens.
There's a cartoon that says that's how it works.
No.
There's also an Autobot one named Blaster.
Also, so like this is capable of running on wire, but like,
He's just mad because Soundwave's superior.
Vastly.
how you like the carrying case it's got for everything in here?
Oh sweet, I can put my goldfish crackers in there.
Player only record function disabled. I don't know. I actually never seen that on here. What is this?
Yeah.
That's like a typewriter too.
Well, they must have took that out.
What about the sticker on that side?
Or that's just a model number.
Gotcha.
I've actually never seen that. It's like somebody actually probably knew it didn't fucking work recording wise.
You know they gutted it.
It probably was they gutted it. I mean, it plays cassettes. That was really all I gave a shit about.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, this thing is. I remember I put a picture of this up one night, and Brian, like your Brian, was like, "Is that an 8-track player?" I'm like, "No, it's a cassette." I have never seen a cassette player that looks like that. I'm like, this thing's ancient.
Yeah.
This is like. I didn't even hit your knee, by the way.
That's okay.
Also, this was made in Japan.
Well, yeah, Doc. All the best stuff's made in Japan.
Assembled in North Hollywood, California, USA, and like. I'd have to look it up. I
this is
swear
back
this is
when-
like 70s.
This is back where instead of everything being made in Japan, we just bought the components from Japan and built it ourselves.
Yeah. So, and
And of course, now that we actually have a reel-to-reel player, which we couldn't bring it with us to show because that
it's
thing
like
is huge.
30 pounds, and there's no way in fuck I was carrying it.
Yeah,
It's
I
got a
joked.
handle. It is so bulky.
Yeah, I joked about us taking it, but like it's.
But like we actually, when I bought it, it came with the real player worked. It came with the mic. It came with the aux cords and stuff for it. My biggest thing was it came with.
The actual magnetic tape.
I mean, there was stuff recorded on these. I've since recorded over a lot of it because it mainly was like sound
sounds
effects
sound
and like
effects
some piano
classical music.
concerts.
Yeah.
So like stuff I really didn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
Like, what was the first thing we put on? We put some Nickelback on it, and I was like, yeah,
Oh
I
my
gotta...
God, it's made with
Look at this
Mylar.
photograph.
I didn't even put that... What did I put on? Was it How You Remind Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, put How You Remind Me on it, and like...
Oh, it's made with Mylar. For all you MST3K fans, that's from the Lost Script.
My biggest thing was, as an Eddie and the Cruisers guy, when I got these, I was like, you know, I went up to my dad, because Eddie and the Cruisers is this... It's this... I don't know if you've ever heard of this movie.
Yeah,
It's kind of like about... It's a play on, like, the rumors that, like, Jim Morrison faked his death, and, like, was off living somewhere in an assumed name. It's about a musician that, like, he apparently dies, and the album he was working on when he died disappears. And so it's kind of like a mystery of, like, all the rest of the bandmates are kind of trying to figure out, like, what happened to these tapes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's, like, somebody's been breaking into all their houses, like, ransacking it, looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this mystery, like, you know, is it actually Eddie Wilson looking for these tapes? It's a really good movie, but, like, when I first got these, I went up to my dad, and I was like, Can't you understand what they're after, kid? Tapes.
Season and
Season and L. he was laughing his ass. He's like, that literally looks like the Season and L tapes.
Yeah, it really does.
He's like, you need to put that soundtrack on one of these, I'm like, which I'm planning on doing. Because, like, I've shown him the movie, and, like, this is literally what the boxes look like. It's the same brand and everything. It's like, when I saw it, I was like, yo,
Thing
that's
with Mylar.
actually...
The greatest thing ever, Mylar.
I was like, that's actually Season and Hell.
Yeah.
And it came with, like, a couple different tapes. There was these two big ones, and then there was two little, smaller ones. Kind of like, when we did the Dead Media video before, I actually had an empty reel that had no tape.
Yeah.
I had, like, two more of these, and, like, these ones were, like, these are, like, the full-size reels. Which I was telling him, like, these were kind of like the ones that, like, I argue, like, you would see, like, in an actual recording studio.
Yeah.
Like, I told him, like, you know, stuff with Rolling Stones and stuff would be recording on.
Yeah. It still sounds really good, too.
Yeah, like, we played around with it, like, thinking it wouldn't sound very good. We plugged my phone into it, because the aux cord works with it. We threw Nirvana and Nickelback on it, we played it back.
Yeah, it sounded actually
It sounds
really good.
really fucking good, actually.
Like, you can't, like, there's no pop or hiss or anything
And,
like
you
that.
could,
It just...
I mean, we would have to play with the levels a little bit, because I thought the bass was a little high on a
Yeah.
lot of them, but I think that was because of just the levels. But
Yeah.
it's just crazy to think something that modern can
sound really
communicate with
good on
something
you.
really old.
Right?
It's always what I always like to say about older stuff is, like, if it works, it just fucking works.
Yeah.
It
It does a
doesn't.
hyphen. It just fucking works.
It's just fucking. No, it's just fucking sexy, honestly.
That too, but...
This was. I've actually never put that 8-track video. I don't think I'm going to.
No.
Because we've gone like so much over other shit of what I own that I'm like, this is like supposed to be the podcast channel, not my collection
We
channel.
can still do it. I think we might want to just release them a little bit spaced
Yeah.
out, just so that we don't...
Yeah, but yeah, this is just kind of more of like, I don't think I've ever shown you these, Lee.
No, you have not.
Yeah, these are all 8-track tapes.
Ooh, that one I did miss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Was 8-track. So.
This is only like
God,
a... There's only like a...
a fraction of what I
fraction.
own. This is like I keep all like my Beatles ones in here, like, which I think I bought this case for like $20 off eBay, and like, it's kind of like those cassette ones. You know, it's just like felt in there.
He's never felt more alive.
It's,
See, it's funny too because that very first one you pulled out, Meatloaf Bad Out of Hell, was one of the first CDs that my parents ever got.
I think this was one of the first cassettes my parents bought.
Like some of the first CDs that they got it when they was coming out was Meatloaf, Van Halen, Def Leppard, Queen, and Heart.
Yeah, which it's like the funny thing I told Adam about is that they stopped commercially making 8-tracks in like 83. They made them all the way up to 89. Like, some people were like, oh, like the last Van Halen album on the 8-track was like Diver Down.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5150. Like the first one with Sammy Hagar, which is like 88, which those ones are really rare because you can only get them through like the Columbia Record House.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember that, you would get them mailed to your house directly.
Also, Diver Down is a JoJo reference.
It's not a fucking JoJo reference. It's called that anime rips off everything.
I do that to him.
Hisses me the fuck off.
I know it's not actually a JoJo reference, buddy. I know.
I ain't ever watching that shit. And you ain't never gonna get me to.
I never said I would.
Well, fuck. I know you build into that.
I know,
It ain't
Grandpa.
happening.
It's not gonna happen, Grandpa. Now take your medication.
Take your hands off me. Take your hands off me.
Well, how does it feel when I do it to you, huh? How does it feel to be a victim, to be deconstructed, to watch your dreams die?
Let me tell you, they're beautiful. They're all beautiful until they're They're snarling at your Transformers like a pack of wolves.
Always goes back to
But-
Remy with you.
Again, this was like, I don't think I talked really about it when we did our video about it. I told him I was actually able to spot the differences on this album and the track
Oh my God,
listing.
he has.
Because I know the White Album track
Actually,
listing
I think he
that
did
good.
point that out when we did the Lost Media episode back in season 2.
Because they changed the track listing.
Yeah,
to
you
fit
did
it,
notice
'cause
that.
Each track has to be like, there's like 4 channels. They all have to be like, I think like 25 minutes. And they got to fit perfectly. Otherwise the continuous thing won't work.
He has to
But-
know which one is his right one for his wedding night.
It's got magnetic tape in it. That's how it knows, the player knows to switch.
Mm.
Is it's literally just got magnetic tape. Which I think is kind of whack.
Yeah, it is kind of whack.
That was why when I found out we sold it at work, I was like, we sell magnetic tape? I thought that shit was, I didn't think they made that shit
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. I remember that one. We found that thing of magnetic tape one day.
Yeah, but like I was telling him, I don't think it was in the episode. I think it was me just talking to you at one point. I
Well,
was like,
I thought it was you did bring that up during the
well, not even
Lost
that. It's
Media
just
episode.
that this was like the one format when I was a kid that was like the unobtainable.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, cassettes, you could get a cassette player when I was a kid. Record, you could get a record player. You could get a CD player. When I was a kid, I was up in my grandma's attic and I found Elvis Blue Hawaii on 8-track. And I remember telling my mom, like, what the hell is this? Like this, I was like, is this a cassette? And I was like, no, that's an 8-track. It's like a cassette, but it's older.
Yeah.
I was like, can we listen to it? My mom's like, I don't have the player for that. Does Grandma? No, Grandma doesn't have the player either. I don't know anybody that has one. They're old and they weren't very good. So like for years, that was why I found that. I thought it could work. This was like the unobtainable format. I wouldn't even see these out thrifting. It wasn't until like the last like 4 or 5 years I've started seeing them pop up. You know, like people had them sitting in the basement or like they had just thrown them out at one point.
Yeah.
So like I remember at one point I was at my grandma's house and she had like 2 of those old cabinet stereos, like the really long ones that were like a furniture piece.
Yeah.
You mean like these ones I've got here?
Yeah,
Which we're getting to.
Yeah,
We'll
basically.
get to.
Um,
Again, my parents were musicians.
yeah, which
Sound is a thing.
it's like I was digging around in there one day looking for records, and there was an 8-track player, and I thought it was built in.
Mm.
So like I was like looking, I was like pulling out to look at it. Came out like it was like a normal stereo one, like it had the RCA things on the end. And I looked at it, I'm like, does this work? Because my grandma had always said nothing in those stereos worked. Like the one cabinet stereo, it literally didn't even have an outlet on the end. It was gone. So like she had nothing I could plug that shit into. The only stereo she had was like a CD player, and I wasn't gonna be able to hook that up. So like I asked her, I'm like, can I just have this? Because it doesn't work. I think I might be able to get it working if it doesn't. She's like, yeah, you can have it. It doesn't work. That was why I was down there to begin with. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So I took it home and like I threw it in my stereo because I had a couple 8-tracks at that point. I still had that Elvis one. I had a couple other ones. Because even when I didn't have a player, I would just buy them.
Right.
If it was a rock album, I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to fucking own that. I plugged it into my stereo. You know, I rigged it up, plugged it in. I saw the lights kick on for it. I'm like, okay, so it's got power. Maybe it just doesn't work like it's a cassette player. Like cassette players break all the time. Threw it in there. Bam! It started working, and I was like, literally got my dad. 'Cause my dad even says anything. He's like, that thing has been broke for years. And like, he came in. He's like, I don't understand why that's working.
Nobody can.
I had it for years. It worked until last year. I was using it one day. I had a special head cleaner tape for it. I ran it through and it broke it. Which I even told my dad, I'm like, can I fix this? He's like, dude, that thing has seen so many hours of playing. You might be better off just buying a new one. So I ended up buying a new one, and the hassle I went through with the new one is bullshit too.
Yeah.
I bought it. Said it worked. It was on eBay. Got it in the mail. Rigged it up to my amp.
I think I know what you're talking about here.
Lights kicked on. I'm like, cool, it lights. Cool. Threw a tape in there. Wouldn't play. I'm like, son of a bitch. So like I pulled it out and like, but the tape I tried was a Beatles tape. It had that magnetic strip on it in the center of where the tape would go across the top. And I looked at it and I'm like, that was like that when I put it in. So I threw it in again and I waited a minute, pulled it back out. still there. I'm like, oh, so it's not running the tape. So like I went and got my flashlight, opened the door, and I look at it. It's another tape at one point had busted off in it, and it was wrapped around the head. So it wouldn't play because there was that tape. And because it's magnetic tape, it was stuck to it.
Yeah.
So I went and got some rubbing alcohol and I got it to where it was loose enough, but it was still wrapped. So I ended up getting a butter knife, and I was like sitting there scraping the tape till it was cut. Got it out. I was like, okay, cool, let's try it now. Still nothing. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was actually really disappointed. I didn't go into work till I'm like, I got the 8-track player. I think I know what's busted with it. I'm going to come home and work on it tonight. I was real hype about it, and then I got home, and I still couldn't get it to work, and I was like, what the fuck? So my mom was like, they're not a very good thing. You shouldn't have bought it to begin with. My mom was like, you don't fucking need it. Why do you want it? My mom doesn't really get that I like old shit. Or she's like, you don't need it? To quote my dad, what the fuck's wrong with you? We got to this point with all this new tech. He and Adam want to go back. I don't understand.
Well, you want to go back. I just like to go on the journey with you.
Because it's like I find all this weird shit. Like I want a black and white TV. That's the new thing.
Well, because of you, I found them VCD Gundam things, which I still need to figure out if they work.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, it kept bothering me. I had it sitting there, and I was on the computer, and it kept bothering me. I'm like, what is wrong with it? You know, and so I went and got my tool chest.
Yeah.
Got a screwdriver. I unscrewed it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? So I throw the tape back in it, and I notice the belt isn't turning. I'm like, maybe the belt's just bad? So I went and got the other one, ripped the belt out of it, brought it upstairs, rigged the belt up, threw the tape in, bam, it kicked off and started playing.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, cool. So I screw it back up, I put it back upside, it starts grinding. I'm like, what the fuck? So I put it back upside down. No grinding noise. I'm like, the fuck? For a while I left it like that. That's actually bad for the tapes. To have them upside down. Right. You shouldn't really ever do that.
Yeah.
So I told my dad, I'm buying a new belt for this thing, because I found a new old stock supply.
Yeah.
Straight from Panasonic. So Panasonic still has a shit ton of these.
Yeah.
So I bought it. Rigged it in, and it's still making that same fucking grinding noise. I'm like, why is it doing this? So like at that point, I told my dad, I'm ripping this fucker apart. I'm figuring out what's wrong with this thing, because I spent like $70 on this fucker. It's gonna work. Hell or high water, it's gonna work. Here, when I got the belt out of it before, I bent a mechanism in it. So my dad literally bent it back. Works perfect now. It's like temperamental motherfucking electronic equipment.
And this is the stories I hear about when I get to work.
It's like I have stories like this, just shit not working and Colton refusing to leave well enough alone and deciding
I get to work.
We can rebuild it. We have the technology, and we don't want to spend a lot of money.
I get to work. I'm like, hello, Colton. How's your day going? Personally, I've been having a pretty good day, and then all of a sudden, this motherfucker comes in.
Adam, what we need to do is we need to start a business. We need to start a video rental store.
Yeah, like, this is the bullshit I put up with.
So we'll start with the video rental, and then we'll work our way to the cassettes.
The other day was...
Don't you get him started.
The one day was like, man, Adam, what we need to do, man, we need to go halvesies. We need to buy ourselves a Betamax. And he's like...
Fastadas.
Okay. He's like, okay.
I'm like, okay.
I'll go with you on this.
I'm still halvesing you with the Laserdisc that we want to try and get eventually, but whatever.
We need to... Maybe there has to be a place in Sharon or
somewhere where we can just get a Laserdisc without having to go through the hassle.
Or buying one on eBay and getting it shipped.
Yeah. But
they're worrying that the U.S. Postal Service might fuck it up somewhere.
But anyway, I think we're getting pretty on, so let's wrap up with the thing over here in the corner that we're going to have to turn the camera around. Hold, make sure you don't end up knocking it off. And end up powering it off. Actually, let's just... Yeah,
We're just going to handle it.
So, like I said before, I did not realize these guys were coming, so I didn't have time to clear this off. This is my great-grandmother's Magnavox. It is still entirely intact. It's, like, all the... Yeah, like I said, they didn't get it clean for these guys to come visit, but it's, I do believe, a pure mahogany case. All the wiring is still included. It's just worn down. We could technically get this plugged in and play it. We got the speakers down here, but this whole case, like, if he backs up just a little, like you can see how big this is. I'm 5'1", and this is up to my waist, and it goes all the way back here. This
We'll
is a
have to
massive
come back
unit.
one day, honestly, because like, I would like to see that work. 'Cause that's actually kind of cool.
How much worry if the vacuum tubes didn't work though?
They probably don't, unfortunately. I think the main thing is that there are like fuse tubes in the back that just don't work. But there is a top on it here that will open up for records and the like to also play.
That's cool.
So it's not just a radio.
It's like an all-in-one, basically.
It was an all-in-one for the late 60s, early 70s kind of thing.
Which that's like when they were doing stuff like where it was a furniture piece. It wasn't just having a player, it was like having a piece of furniture.
Right, because as you can see from all of my knickknacks and whatnot on it, it works just fine as a table. It would have been an end piece. It would have had, I'm sure my great-grandmother had put a doily on it with a jar of candy or something on it at some point, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, and of course my own DVD and VHS player, and it's not an old stereo, but it is. We use this as our connector to my old systems to the modern smart TV. I've got a PlayStation 2, 3, a Wii. I've got the cords to hook up my Sega Genesis. Yeah, I've even got 2 of them.
Genesis.
Oh, I'm not the only one that has 2.
No.
You're not one of the people that has 3.
No, I've got 2 Sega Genesis and 2 PS2s, both because my brother went to Los Angeles and wasn't able to take his things with him, so they're mine now. So, yeah, so my family also does the ye old kind of media kind of thing, and I'm actually kind of hoping, because these guys sprung it on me, if I had had some time, I probably would have brought my dad into this, because this is definitely his jam. He was a musician, he did all of the recording, he did all the mixing and things like that, as well as being the lead guitarist for the band. So I'm hoping to like show this to him and have him join in with the boys later on and talk more about old media at some point.
Because like I said, this could be a ongoing thing, because you and me look for this stuff so much.
And I'd like to talk about, like, research, like, all the different formats that try to be VHS, because I don't think a lot of people know about that sort of thing.
Mini DVDs.
And just because they mention it, and to show this too, these are Sansui speakers, and these are older than I am. I'm 31 at this point. These are pretty damn massive.
I was like, those, again, it's when stereo equipment like that was like,
yeah, as you can tell from all the shit that I have on top, like it was expected to be a furniture piece when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
We just threw the PlayStation on top of it. And there's a matching one over here where we would just use them for light stands and shit like that because they were just so big. And the sound that still comes out, and we don't have them hooked up because we moved recently.
Oh, they do still have the hookups?
We still do have the hookups.
Because I've seen people have those before and they don't have the wiring for them anymore.
Oh, my dad, God, no. No, it's because we haven't had a lot of time to, like, get things set up in the house. I bought this house recently. We haven't been able to get that stuff hooked up, but he's got the hookup for these old speakers, and then you probably saw in the background earlier, we just have some new speakers here. He just bought straight from the manufacturer, which, let's see, they're called Realistic from Panasonic. They're on sale for $100. They're usually $300 or more. Get them before they sell out because they're putting out a new model.
Yeah.
So, I think that's really just the biggest thing with, like, the old media stuff is that it's like, oh, that's actually, let me cover the camera.
Yeah.
Is it's like, the old media stuff just has, like, a certain charm to it, I guess. Kind of like what we mentioned, like, nostalgia, but
with it being,
it's just cool.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
being
it really
furniture
is.
pieces as well, too, you get that, a better quality of product, too, because it's in something solid. It's in something meant to last.
Yeah. And at the very least, it's a great conversation piece.
Absolutely. Like those big speakers just now, they have that beautiful wood lattice in front of the grating for the speaker itself.
How much he was made out of that wood lattice?
Jesus.
Just saying. He tried getting wood paneling when he moved into his.
I did that
loft.
old '70s den paneling. My mom hates that shit. She literally was like, I'm not fucking buying it for you. It's like, I even went online, like, I dug and found a place that would sell it, and she's like, I'm not buying that. I don't care. If you buy it, you can put it up.
Yeah. That
So,
was.
yeah, you get that homey, sleek look. You get that quality look to it. So having the solid wood for both of these make it more of a home piece. It makes it more like we've moved to this colder minimalistic
It's
look.
warmer. Warm
Yeah,
wood.
it's warm wood. And there's nothing wrong with the minimalistic, but there are just some people who don't who don't like that, who don't want that in their house. Whereas these pieces, you just close them and you don't see any of that kind of the technology part. You just have that warm wood, which gives a rustic feel. And considering I am practically like a homesteader, this is my thing.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, if me and Adam were out somewhere and they had like this shit sitting along the side of the road, they'd free it. Like, Adam, you pull the fuck over
I
immediately.
know
Throw it
it would
back.
be how that would be.
Goddamn, yeah.
Don't even care if where I'm gonna find room for it. I'm gonna find room.
Adam, there's a karaoke machine over there. I'm not pulling over the karaoke machine, Cole. No, you gotta pull over the karaoke machine. God damn it, alright.
It doesn't matter if it don't fit in the car.
Justin-
You put it on top of the car.
Justin
basically.
from work has a cabinet stereo like that he tried to give me, but I just didn't have the room for it. At one point, I'd like to be like, I'll just go over and grab it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Anyway, guys, I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this video. So,
So,
we hope
thanks-
you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in my weird adventures with randomly showing up and randomly you showing my house. Sorry.
But,
you're actually on punked.
Next time on Punked!
I'm not sure what we're gonna be putting out after this one. This is kind of just a thing we were trying to get to do. But,
Make them come back. I miss my boys.
we will. But, I hope you, you
Mine.
enjoyed this episode.
Mine.
And,
As
look
always,
forward to what's happening next. As always,
we ask you
remember the hyphen.
and
Take care.